Okay, give me 2 minutes to explain to you this Nvidia AI bubble and how so much of the stock market and the entire US economy is tied to something that is about to crash and burst. All right, give me a moment. So, Nvidia makes chips, or they design the chips. They get the chips made somewhere else. So, Nvidia designed these chips. They design good chips, and they're powerful and they can do a lot of processing power. All right, but they make these chips, and then companies don't really have a reason to want these chips. People are like, why do we need these chips? In comes AI. So, not too long ago, artificial intelligence has been a buzzword that has been created. And then NVIDIA, being the company that makes really good chips, some companies were just like, you know what, we're going to use NVIDIA chips because they're powerful, because they will power our AI models, right? Keep stock price in mind here. Stock price is the most important thing for all of these companies and valuations. All right. So when a company announces that they're going to do something with AI, their price goes up. And then they associate their
Well,
business with Nvidia. So Nvidia says, oh, we can make these chips for you. And then so there was some natural market growth. Then it reached a point where it's like, all right, Nvidia has grown significantly. Companies say they're going to invest in AI, and we're all good to go. But shareholders want more value. So now what has happened is Nvidia ends up with a whole bunch of chips that they have the capacity to create, but people are like, why do we want them? We don't have the money for these chips. It's expensive as hell. What am I going to do? So in comes what's called vendor financing. So
mm,
Nvidia says, you know what? OpenAI, I'm going to give you $100 billion. Dollars. You're going to use that $100 billion dollars to place an order with me and buy my chips. And then
mm.
I'm going to make the chips for you to use to power your AI model. All right. No funds have actually been transacted between the two companies. OpenAI gave the money. I mean, Nvidia gave the money to OpenAI, and then they're going to get their money back. So
You know what? This reminds me of the dot-com bubble. The AI bubble is happening. We know that ChatGPT, OpenAI is going to be around. We know Meta, we know, Oracle, we know Nvidia, but you see a lot of paper wins, but not actual wins. Basically, what he's explaining is that they're moving money around to make their balance sheets bigger, to make it look like they're more successful. In actuality, there's not that much success. Why is this a problem? It's because there's so many stocks linked to AI, so many stocks linked and investing into this. It's just going to be like the dot-com bubble. It's going to pop, and then there's going to be a few that survive, and then the rest are going to go to trash. I believe it was Thinking Machines or Thinking Lab. They have $50 billion evaluation, and they haven't even created a product. When it starts to get stuff like that, where there's no viable product, there's nothing that we're actually using now, that's when it gets scary. That's when it gets scary. That's when you can't invest in these things. And it may look good on paper. The product may sound good, but they're not making any money. So it's just like people are really just doing high level gambling. AI, I believe if you will make a lot of money in AI if you got in at the beginning. Okay. This is why companies like Nvidia, Meta, OpenAI, people that are really getting heavy into this are going to be around. It's because they've been around longer. But you have a lot of companies just popping up and saying, oh, this is going to be the next AI. Oh, we're going to use this. Oh, we're going to use this. We're going to be the next. Those are the ones you don't invest in. You see what I'm saying? But even if you look at Nvidia, the way they're moving, like he said, they use vendor finance, and vendor finance is not cash. It's just basically saying, I'm gonna loan you and let you use our chips because if you use our chips, you're not gonna use anybody else's chips. That's the reason why they do it. But then it makes it seem like that they're getting paid because they actually add it to the balance sheets as if money is coming in. But actually, it's not real money. So they're playing this game that a lot of corporations play to boost up their stock price, but you have to think about how many funds are invested in Nvidia, how many, different types of, you know, life insurance policies are tagged to AI stocks. That's the hot thing right now. And I think that's the reason why there was the big guy, I forgot his name, it's the Japanese guy. He pulled out of Nvidia. He took a lot of his shares out of Nvidia and sold them and got I think 2.3 or $3 billion because I think he sees what's going on too. I think it's Yashimoto. I forgot his name, but the AI is a bubble. It's coming. It's going to be the major players, and that's it. But there's a lot of companies that are in AI that are popping up and saying they're the next big thing. but they don't have a product. And then they have these crazy evaluations, and you're just like, how do you have this 50 billion valuation and you don't have a product? It's because people are just straight gambling. So the people that win are the gamblers, I mean, are the founders, because you know they be able to cash out or whatever, get a little bit of cheese. But it's just like the .com bubble. Not everybody's going to win in the AI bubble. It's just not. There's some things that work, but I would just say right now, as far as the AI space, open AI is the king. I know Meta starting to work on some stuff. I believe that Meta, because they have the money and the talent to do their thing. Elon Musk has Grok. So you have these things that are in AI. With the robots, Amazon is doing using AI with their robots and stuff like that. I believe it has to work hand in hand with a robot to be really long term. But AI has already affected a lot of jobs as well, doing the tasks that everybody else can do. AI has helped me a lot with creating content and doing the back end stuff for my media company. But it's a bubble. It's coming. It's really coming. I believe the Nvidia price will probably go down because of what's happening, but we just have to be smart. But we have to understand the ramifications that's going to happen is because we have so many regular funds, pensions, all these things right now are tied to AI stocks. So don't be alarmed if you start seeing people starting to pull out of these AI stocks, because I believe that they feel there's the AI bubble coming too, and they also knowing about the vendor financing, cooking the books a little bit, making it look like they're grander than they are. That's a problem.
No new money has been created. So now you have created a circle of demand. You've created artificial demand using vendor financing. So now multiply this across the entire industry of our stock market. Companies are using AI as a buzzword to increase their stock price.
Correct.
Nvidia is the company where people get these chips from or place these orders for chips from. So when Nvidia stock goes up, investors say, "Oh my gosh, look at how great this Nvidia stock is. I'm going to invest more money in it," which then makes Nvidia stock go up.
Hmm.
So now Nvidia has all of this money that they are then loaning out using vendor financing to create a fake demand for their products, because nobody's actually really buying the products. They're placing these orders, and then people will go into the market and look and say, "Oh, look, here is $100 billion order placed for chips. Nvidia must be valuable, right?" Not quite. They make a good chip, but they're making artificial demand for their chips. So now in comes the stock market. And I'm past 2 minutes, but give me a moment. I'm going to finish up in 30 seconds. In comes the stock market. Nvidia now makes up roughly 8% of the entire S&P 500. And then about 50% of the S&P 500, their value is tied to AI. So all of these companies are investing in AI. They're buying from Nvidia. Nvidia is giving to them. They're creating art infrastructure companies to build out these data centers, because the data centers have to be built using these Nvidia chips. So it's all of this ecosystem of companies trading money back and forth to each other. But what has not happened is income or actual revenue being generated from all of these tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of investment. So what's going to happen is at some point, these companies are going to have to deliver on all of the money that they have spent, all of the promises that they have spent, all of the promises that they have made, and all of the data centers that have been built out to power all of these AI models. And then at some point, revenue is going to have to come in. When we realize that that amount of revenue is not going to be able to come in to refill these loans, and when we realize that Nvidia is giving people money to buy their stuff, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be an issue. Vendor financing, Nvidia, look into it. Our whole stock market is tied to this chips and to the AI speculation. And we will see where it goes, but it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be pretty either. I think what Nvidia is doing, they're trying to be ahead of the curve. They're trying to be everywhere to beat competition. So they're using vendor financing. It makes total sense, but some of these orders that they're doing and they're supplying are outrageous, where they're giving it to certain companies where that demand or that revenue that they're supposed to be getting back won't match the loan that they've given out in those chips or in vendor financing. That's the problem. They don't understand it, or they don't know how much money they're actually going to make. It's all speculative. Everybody's just saying, all right, just give us the chips. It's going to charge us 100 million, cool, or 100 billion, whatever. We'll pay you back. But what if you finally start using your chips and start using everything and you only make a billion? That's going to be a problem. that's going to bring down Nvidia stock. But the reason why this is important is because everybody's investing in Nvidia. So everybody has their money in Nvidia, and Nvidia stock drops, it's going to crash the market. It's because everybody has their money tied to Nvidia or the companies that are tied with Nvidia. So it could be a big market shift. Do I think Nvidia is going to go out of business? No, because I understand what they're doing. They're trying to be everywhere and not having any competition. Makes total sense. But the revenue or the loans that they're giving out most of the time probably won't match the revenue that they will be getting in the future. That's the scary part. So if you are investing, you got to be smart and understand what Nvidia is doing and just know that it's a risk. I'm not telling you, not giving you financial advice. I'm just telling you, understand what these companies are doing. They look amazing because of vendor financing. They're not really actually getting the cash. They're just getting saying a loan, and they're loaning out these chips and just say, pay me back later, but put it on the books as if you gave me 100 billion. So this is why when you're investing in stuff, you got to be smart, understand what these companies are doing. But the big buzzword right now is AI. Everybody says that they're AI, they automatically want more money, or their stock goes up because they're using AI. But everybody's not going to win in this AI bubble. There's going to be some big heavy hitters that stay, obviously. Do I think Nvidia is going to go out of business? No, but will their stock drop? For sure, because once the real numbers come and the revenue actually comes in, it's not going to be what they estimated for it to be. But let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel. As always, we'll keep it real, keep it funky. I'm Mr. Marcus Lewis, and we'll keep this thing rocking.